creativity as something that's not given to people with a faint of heart. It's given to few, but so many know how to use it. We're going to find this out tonight on Creative Talks with Scorpio Chronicles. Good evening, good evening. Thank you for joining me tonight on Creative Talks with Scorpio Chronicles. This is our second show, and it is going to be an awesome show. Tonight we have a very, very, very special guest and a good, awesome independent comic creator by the name of Wilson Lee. I thought it was the creator of Alpha Flight. At first, when I first met him, it was funny. He was like, "No, I'm not that, Mr. Lee." I'm like, "Okay." But yeah, Mr. Wilson Lee is joining us tonight. Wilson, how are you? And he is holding my favorite cover. He did this on purpose.
So, I'm doing well. I'm always going to get my shameless plugs in. I like to just go ahead and put that right out front.
Go
This
ahead.
was a limited poster that we did for the Kickstarter. We're going to have some of these with us when we roll up on folks in Greenville, North Carolina, August 7th at the Greenville Convention Center for our first live in-person Comic-Con because COVID hit and we never really got to get out there.
Oh,
It's hitting
wow.
again. So
Yeah.
put your mask on,
Yeah.
do your thing, be safe, be careful, but come out here, get your books signed, buy some books, get
Yes,
some
please do.
t-shirts. We're going to be out here doing the
Please
thing.
do. Please
Greenville
do.
Convention Center, 10 a.m., 5 p.m., August 7th. Shameless plug.
Yeah. Make sure you all be careful out there. It is
Be safe.
getting stronger. Seems like it. I never stopped wearing my mask, but people would look at me strange in the store because I'm walking around and like the only one in the store with the mask on. But me, I'm not ashamed at all. I'm going to
I
wear my
dig the
mask.
fashion statement. We're going to come out with some CNS Comics masks soon
Oh yes,
to get in there with you guys so that you got some CNS
awesome,
drip to go with your
awesome,
safety wear. Get that safety wear from CNS.
awesome. So that is great, and I'm glad for that because we're gonna. It looks like we're gonna need it.
Need another round.
So yeah, so it's crazy. It's crazy. So tonight we are talking about creativity. Questions for a creator. So right here, I'm just gonna quickly pull in this and let everyone know that we are live, and I'm hoping that they are joining us right now. So get this out here, and yeah, we are live right now. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get into the questions. Okay, the questions.
Questions.
I hope you're
We've
ready,
got
Mr. Lee.
questions. We've
Of
got
course.
answers.
Of course. I know you have answers.
We'll see what
Uh,
comes out. So just so you know, there's no prep here, right? So
no.
I know we were having a creative talk, but like a few
Yeah.
minutes before we go live, we have like a powwow. It's like,
Hmm.
yo, I'm gonna hit you with some hard hitting questions that you have no idea what they are. So just know
Yep.
that you're about to get raw Wilson here. Brace
Hmm.
yourselves, be prepared.
Hmm.
Just disclaimer.
Yeah, but just to let everyone know, if you're watching, looks like Instagram is currently not working for me at the moment, but I am still live on YouTube and Facebook. So I did let everyone know that, but it is still live on those.
Hello out there,
So
YouTube, and hello out there, Facebook.
yeah,
What's
so
happening?
make sure you're tuning in. So all right, so let's just go ahead and let's just get into these questions. Now, you being a creator, I'm sure that you've been asked this type of question in so many different ways. Um, question simply, you know, why comics? And what's the purpose? What is what is your purpose that you believe that you have in creating comics?
Gotcha. So I'll start with part one here. Why comics? Um, Originally, I was going to write a novel.
Hmm.
Like this was going to be my Tolkienian epic. It was going to be like, the Lord of the Rings with, my storytelling, my characters in the center, where, we take that high fantasy route was the game plan.
Hmm.
Um, but as I was writing it, and I guess as a creator, you got to me, I'm a follow the interest, follow the whim, fever dream of the muse creator. So in the
Hmm.
midst of like I'd been planning this novel, doing character designs, from a writing perspective, where we build the character builds and the development of the character and who they were going to be. And so I finally set out and start writing this thing, and I just come out of nowhere with my origin story. There's going to be this immortal queen that drops out of the sky, and she's going to kind of set everything off. So I start writing this, and I see her. I see her, man. Like that's how it went down. I started to
Hmm.
see Tolasha.
Hmm.
Um, and once I visualized her, I realized that I no longer wanted to write the novel that I had started writing. I'm sure that like a million creators will tell you the same thing, that
Correct.
sometimes what you set out to do isn't what you actually do, but you follow the vibe where it takes you. And I fell in love with this character and decided that not only did I want to create her, but I needed to see her. So I was driven to the comic medium because I felt uh, at the point of the inception of this character, she was very visual to me. I could see her, so I wanted to see her. I like all the mediums. I write poetry. I do write a good short story. I'm down for a novel. So
Yeah.
I'm not medium bound. It just felt that this story in particular, because of the way I envisioned the light and the play of light and the importance of that visual imagery as I was writing it, in novel form, the imagery was so vivid, even to me, reading it back to myself, that I was like, somebody got to draw this shit. Um, and so, kind of, that's when I embarked down the comic path for the Tales of the Stars series. I still think one day I'm going to sit down and write my epic novel, but it may end up being social commentary based on
Hmm.
the life that we live here. So the world's an interesting place, and I think there's a lot of inspiration to draw on. So I think that that's the other part. I want to, so part two of the question, tell my story. Um, Whether people realize it or not, the most powerful thing in human history is narrative. The stories that we tell ourselves about ourselves and about other people are really what's actually shaping the majority of what you believe in the world. You have to realize that you're going to meet so few people on the scale of humanity, right? You meet a couple thousand people on a scale of billions of people. You don't have a lot of real experience to understand the world. And this is why narrative is so important, and why representation then becomes such an important thing. And
Correct.
the way stories are told is because you'll never meet this dude from the block if you're not from the block. You're from somewhere where
Exactly.
you'll never see the block. You can be from this country and never get deep in a trailer park or deep in the hood in the
Right.
projects. And these are different experiences, different visions of America from a
Yeah.
nice, chill, even the good country. Like I come up in a good country setting where, you got land and space and all your neighbors are related to you. And, so
Oh, that's
these are all
scary.
different experiences, and it's hard to relate without somebody that can tell you that story. It's why people latch on to OG gangster rap music, is because it's a story, a narrative you weren't familiar with, that now has, kind of lost that flavor because it's become industrialized and commercialized to the point where it's just a money machine. But um,
True.
narrative is powerful. So I want to make sure that, I get a chance to tell my story and tell it how I see the world, and give the chance for different perspectives to be out there. Boom, long winded, but that was a deep question. Like you
No,
weren't
that was
messing
fine.
around right off the
I
bat. You
told
just
you.
uh,
I
come
told
in
you.
there.
I told you. I told you that was not long-winded, sir. That was perfect, actually. That is exactly what I'm looking for, because the whole purpose of this is to have my creators think. Is I want to see, another side of you all. Because I we talk about the Kickstarters, we talk about
Right.
the Indiegogo, we talk about our comic books, but I want to get a little deeper, and I want to know, okay, what triggered this? What actually caused this to? What made you want to do this? That's the whole purpose of my show. Is I want to get a little deeper and have you open up, just bare your soul, just a little. You don't have to give out too much, just a little bit. So that is the whole purpose. Now, the next question, with you talking about, your purpose and why you chose comics, what type of, if any, what type of backlash have you received while making comics or when you tell people that you are a comic creator?
Well, not so much from being a comic creator. I think everybody that I've run across thinks that's pretty dope shit. Um,
Hmm.
like, because that's like childhood dream stuff. So a lot of us want to live our dreams, and I think it's a something that and I think it speaks to who you surround yourself with as well. Um, that you don't get a lot of shade from your inner circle. Now, from people reading the books, man, some people like them,
Oh,
some
yes.
people don't like them. But in terms of the career choice, like I don't just make comics. We all kind of do comics as part of our life. Like I also have to work for a living so that I can eat, and because
Yeah.
we're not quite there yet. We're starting to
Yeah,
break
we haven't
even and
gotten to
get
that
some
point yet.
parity, but like I'm living a dream here. So there's a lot of sacrifice that goes into that, and people will ask, where do you find the hours and how do you do it? But I mean, I waste a lot of time too. Like you can waste a whole day scrolling through one of these media things. You just
Oh, yeah.
flipping up for like 6 hours. You can do a lot of shit in 6 hours
That
that
is
you were just
very
scrolling.
true.
So I think we're all a lot more creative and a lot more capable than we realize because we've lived in a society that doesn't like so much your creativity and the artistry of creation and work. We've kind of turned work into this thing that gets done only for the corporation. But really, work is supposed to be deeply personal, and you should see the work of your hands. And when you feel that, it's why I love to garden. I don't know if you know this about me, but since it ain't just about comics night. I love to dig the dirt, and I almost turn my whole front yard into food. Um,
Oh,
and I think there's something about the process of doing the work and seeing the process of your own labor and then getting to benefit from that. I think most of us work jobs where we do work for someone else that we're so abstracted from. I'm really here to get paid.
correct.
And that is a different feeling than when you see Talasha of the Stars come out of your brain, go through all the sweat and tears of creating her, and then actually it
Yeah.
becomes a real thing. Like that's entirely different than me punching the clock 9 to 5 to eat, or 12 to 3 or 3 to 12, however they got you working in the 24-hour nonstop work well, or where you just never get anything done. And it's
Yeah.
just, it's different when you can do something and feel it. So,
I always do this. I always make time for things like this. Like we make time for our 9 to 5. We go and work that schedule.
that's
The
it.
time that I get off from that 9 to 5, the rest of that time is I'll come home. I'll rest for about an hour or so, but then I get back on what I'm passionate about. I'll get back onto my writing or my side hustle, things of that matter. I try to make time this my thing because I don't want to be doing the 9 to 5 forever. I
Right.
don't.
Right.
So our
The
goal
W
is to
2
do
life
this.
is not the life for
Yeah.
me. The W 2 life will never
Yeah.
do for you what
Never.
work for the self can do. So to
That is
be able
very
to
true.
achieve a livable wage from something you love is worthwhile. I'm not saying that I'll give up my gig. People have
Oh
day
yeah.
gigs, and you got to work, you got to get your money, but
Correct.
don't be afraid to start trying to do something you love. You know what? The thing that comes to mind that I think gets a lot of people is discipline. You have to be financially disciplined, time
Yeah.
disciplined. It's boring. Sometimes when people want to talk to me about the creative world, I always go to well, there's also all this boring, dreary things
Yeah.
that you're going to have to do as well, or
Yeah.
somebody's going to have to do if you don't want to do, and they'll come up quite quickly and they'll frustrate you. Please be prepared for the full suite. But it's like boring and it's a drag. They want to hear about, man, yeah, I did the Comic Con and it was great, and I
Yeah,
went to Virtuous Con and I had such a good time, met so many amazing people virtually, and sold me some books, and people want to buy your stuff. Yes, that's great, but there's always the balance of,
that's true. Very
you
much
got to
so.
get it. You got to get it if you're gonna get it, right?
Very much so. Now, this question is a question that's probably going to have you think a little bit more. Now, do you believe that comics chose you, or did you choose comics?
Please hold. So I mean, it's a hard question because don't you always like to believe you're the master of your fate? So
That
if
is
given a
true.
choice, then I'm always going to want to believe that it was me.
That
But
is
then
true.
there's a part of you that always wants it to be the destiny, so that when the times get hard, you can fall back on, well, I'm a child of destiny. This isn't just what I want to do; it's what must be done, and only by me. So I guess it's this weird balance. When I'm down, I end up coming to that mystical comics chose me thought. When I'm running well, I'm like, yes, this is like me. This is, you got to stay organized. You got to be. But when you hit that spiritual, emotional, I think that's when you believe you've been chosen or you
Chosen,
surrender.
but
So
yeah,
I think I
that is
I
correct.
wobble back and forth between being logical and completely irrational about my love and dream, and I think that's one of the things that's required to push through hard times is a little bit
Oh,
of crazy delusional self-belief, but most of the time it's pretty metered and balanced, and I think that I'm making these choices and I'm being very deliberate about what's happening. So I think that in this case, I want to say for the Tells of the Stars series, I chose comics. I did not choose the story I wrote initially, but I chose comics as the medium and sticking
I
with that.
think I believe the character chose you.
Character, definitely, she came and got me.
He said, "I want him."
I couldn't let it go, man. I really couldn't. Like,
He said,
I
"I
kept
want
trying to
him."
write the novel, and I'm telling you, there's like 40 pages of the novel, but she was supposed to just blip in for like an
Mhm.
intro, and
Yeah.
40 pages later, she's still in there, and I realized that I'm not going to write about anything but
Oh
her.
wow.
They are actually a side note in her story, is what it turns out, and
Oh
she
my
became
goodness.
the star hopping queen, and the way I envisioned her was. Um, what I'm building to now. So like I saw her in this final form, and then I had to go back and write her origin story because I wanted her to really be the meat and potatoes of my universe, and kind of saw how I wanted to build a pantheon around that. It was really really cool, and I think a lot of it comes from reading a lot too. When you nerd out and read
Oh
all the
yeah.
time, like you just
Oh yeah.
the structure of a story, it helps. So if anybody wants to write, make sure you read if you want to write.
Most definitely. That's the key. My I called him my brother from Sovereign Comics here. He always tells me research, research,
Yeah,
research. Read other people's work. That helps give you the idea. That helps build up that creativity, and that's something. I mean, I go as far as to point to I before I even write
read
anything.
nonfiction.
Yeah, nonfiction. I actually Google stuff. Like I'll Google certain things, like certain objects or certain places, because I want it to be as close as possible. I don't
Right,
want to miss
right.
anything. So that is true. Just reading and
Even when you're
just
building like entirely new fantasy worlds, like what I'm doing with the TOS first and the Tales of the Stars, that's an entirely new fantasy world. But I think reading still helps to inform your storytelling, and then
yeah,
not just the written word, but the oral storytellers, and some things that are done in the oral tradition that you can emulate in your
correct.
writing through the dialogue in different ways. So
Very, very, very much.
be a
Very, very,
student, be a
very
student
true.
of the game.
Very true. Now, next question. When you're writing and when you're creating, how does it feel to have freedom of the mind? Like you're finally letting this whole universe that you started writing a novel about, and you're actually seeing this whole world that you built to actually see it on paper, like in front of you, like to actually see the comic and something that you built and that you created. How does that experience feel?
You know the sound that a soda pop makes when you open it?
Oh yeah,
Feels like that.
especially on a hot day and it's cold too. You're like, oh,
Like yeah, there it is. Like
oh,
that
that's
type of yeah, yeah. I don't know how else to describe it. I think that's something I hope you guys can relate to that out there. But
oh yeah. I'm sure.
if
I,
not,
I am sure just to have that is it's kind of refreshing. So just to be able to let all that stuff
and
out of
to see it and
oh,
to know that it is it's that manifestation feeling like that there it goes. That's it.
that's true.
Unless you went wrong, and I hope you knew before you got all the way to hitting your hands, and you're like, ah, I haven't had that happen yet.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Like, I think if you do your front end work, you might, I'll be one story I want to tell. Like the very first limited cover we did, right?
Yeah.
The first print was defective,
Oh.
and a friend
Oh.
of mine who believes in what I'm doing, shout out to my man Dan, bought it for what at the time seemed like an obscene price. Um, so sometimes you mess things up, but you're making comics, so and you're like small batch publishing, so you're kind of already collectorish. Don't give up. Even your mistakes are a lot can be interesting and
Yeah.
awesome. I think so. But yeah, I mean, there's that feeling that you did something. Like I was saying earlier, when you work all day at work, you're done, but you're not satisfied. I guess
Correct.
you want to get done, but you want to get done because you don't want to do it anymore. You don't like something like this. You get to the end and you're like, damn, there it is, my
Hmm?
journey, my life's work, my manifestation.
It's here.
Like it's an entirely just it's 100% different than doing for others. I
Yeah.
really suggest that everybody go out there and find something that they can love doing, even if you don't take it to the crazy scale of turning it into a business and trying to really, um, do it big. If
Yeah.
but invest something in yourself, man. Like invest in you. Like that's what this really is. This is me believing that I can be more than what somebody else can tell me. So nobody else should be able to give you your full measure. It's not saying to ignore people or to ignore your standing in society, but to know that your full measure can only be found through testing yourself. Nobody else is going to be able to provide you a test that will help you reach your full measure. And I just desire to be the best version of me that I can be, to
Same.
grow daily, to improve from myself from before, and to learn from that previous self. So, um, that's what that feeling is. All of that stuff.
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
See, Shannon gets
See,
it.
yes, she does. She says so true. Which also we just it was just announced today her comic that she's working on called Hellcat that's going to be releasing under Sovereign Comics. So I'm
Okay.
excited for her also. It's a lot of creative
Getting
people
in with
here.
Tier. That's going to be
Yes.
amazing. So I definitely want to
Yeah.
check that out. I got Stars. Stars was the book from Tier that I got into.
I
Um,
feel and she actually cosplay one of Star's characters, Tectonica. And
okay.
she literally looks just like Tectonica.
Ah,
So yeah, she actually cosplays one of those. So yeah, I have yet to read the book, y'all. Don't hurt me. Okay. I have yet to read Stars yet, but I have
you
to
be on these all these lives and you got all
I
these things
know.
going on and you do a lot of stuff. So
I
um,
know. Yes,
I'm
but
not gonna knock you. I'm not gonna knock you.
yeah,
Busy
she
man.
yeah, she loves Stars. She is a huge Stars fan. So she is yeah.
I just
She
feel
can
like I
truly
met
relate.
Tectonica. So what's
Yes.
up? This is my celebrity night now.
Shannon, make sure you please do follow CNS Comics. Please make sure y'all follow each
I'm gonna
other
go
and
hunt
watch.
you down just in case I'm not following you. I'll find you on social media too. I love the indie community because you're just not gonna
Yes.
get stories
No.
like this mainstream. Mainstream is gonna give you a story that's guaranteed to make money.
Correct.
And that is boring. You can
Very.
take a lot of risk when you're not afraid to. Don't be afraid to fail.
Yeah.
Don't be
Never
afraid
be
to fail.
afraid to. Never be afraid to. She said yes, sir. So she's gonna be looking for you also. So make sure. But she's an awesome. I actually
Hellcat.
have
I'm looking
Hellcat.
forward to that. That sounds like. What are we dealing with there? Okay, I'm not going to go off on a
We're gonna
wide
find
tangent
out.
because I could just I got to go hunt that down later. But I
We
have
are
fun
going to
just wondering
find
what we got
out, and
going.
I can't wait till that comes out. So when we move on to the next question, when it comes to creating comics, novels, whatever type of thing that you're into, what steps do you take when it comes to creating? Like, do you do such thing as like lock yourself away in the room, or do you like listen to music? Like, what does it take to get your mind to shut off everything and actually focus?
So, and I always say this, there are people who are um it's different, but normally I am muse driven. There's some people who are observation driven. They see something and it's like, oh, this makes me think of this, and then you get the cascading of thoughts, and then you go splatter or brainstorm out. I do have some observational responses, but I am a fever dream type. Like I will just be sitting around or sleeping or um, just overwhelmed with the need to at least get some of this out so I can return
Mm,
to it. Um, so I'm kind of driven by either the observation or the fever dream, which is just the observation that I don't realize I had. So like I saw something that I didn't realize triggered creativity in me, and I can't. And a lot of time that's what you're doing in the writing is trying to figure out why you're all interested in this.
correct.
So I think that's the beginning of every process. I have a file that I keep that's just called the work in progress file. That's probably
Okay.
like 25 plus at any given time, one or two page. Ooh, I just had a thought about this. Maybe this would be good.
Hmm.
Um, and I go back and read it. And, the other thing is being disciplined, like I was saying, like blocking off time where you're going to devote it to your creative process, whether it's going to be you're going to do some reading to build your knowledge base or to research a particular topic that you're interested in, or you're going to sit down for an hour and write something, or whatever you do, even if you just set aside an hour a week, when you sit down and discipline for that hour, it's going to turn into more than an hour. You'll end up doing more than an hour, but it's a combination of that discipline and the inspiration. So you have the inspiration, you get basically this thought out about, oh, it would be really cool if maybe, and I'm just going to do something off the top of my head here, if we created a universe full of sunglasses people where the sun was gone away. So like they're actually sunglasses. Their whole purpose was to block the sun, but there's no more sun. So I might have a crazy thought like that and just start writing
Yeah.
different things down about that, and then I'll come back to it. And if it still works for me, if I'm still excited about it, um, I'll write more. But I have to be
Yeah.
excited about it. So if what I'm
Correct.
reading doesn't excite me, then I don't keep writing it. But I'll go back and every now and then I just, when I don't have something that I know I want to work on, if I don't have a story that I'm scripting out already that's in like my main universe or something like that, I will
Mm,
follow an interest as far as it will take me, and just sit down and keep coming back and writing it. So, I devote some time to the mainstream, and then I devote some time to just following that interest, because being creative means being in your interest. You don't create things you don't enjoy or have an interest in. So
oh wow.
you got to do both. Be a crazy person and like a super disciplined person at the same
You
time.
you seriously do because that crazy part you're literally going to be talking to yourself.
I'm not going to stop thinking about this sunglasses world where there's no sun, because like even if it doesn't turn out to be sunglasses people, right, like the concept of having uh and this is like a
Hmm.
common theme, but I guess
Yeah.
the theme, and this is my creative process, you're seeing it live now. So like now
Yeah.
I'm on these sunglasses people, but that's kind of silly and nobody's really going to bite on that. But what am I really talking about? Sunglasses with no sun. I'm talking about uh a people, a person, a thing that's lost its purpose, had a purpose, but lost its purpose.
Mm.
So that's the story I really want to tell. And how do I actually truly want to tell that story?
Yeah.
Like it came out as something silly about sunglasses and the
But
sun
you'll be
being gone.
but you'll be shocked how
What that
the
could have been.
many ways that you can run with that. Like,
Right.
you'll be shocked how many ways you can run with that. It may not be any sun, but it may be something about the daylight that they
Right.
need the sunglasses, or it may be something about protection from
I might come back, read it, and be like, I don't know what the hell this
yeah,
was, but there's this one thing in here that I like. So let me write about this
yeah,
one thing.
correct. That
I,
is correct.
I
Just
want to
like with
know what
Shannon.
that world would end up being. Like, I don't know. I'm interested in seeing like
I
something
would
like a
like to see
Wally
that too.
where the sunglasses actually talk to each other. There's no people left. You know, who knows? Disney hit me up.
You
You can
know?
just buy that thought. I'll take what I got left on the mortgage. You don't even got to come hard for
Oh my goodness.
that.
Just go in and just just sold the whole thing to Disney just that quick. Wow.
That one, sometimes you got to pass some thought. If somebody would give you a mortgage for it, let
Yeah.
it go, man. You have a. And this is the other thing. Like you're creative, and everybody is. Like people are more creative than they give themselves credit for. You
Uh-huh.
have at least 5 great thoughts a day. You just don't do anything with them either. You don't have time to follow up on them at the
Yep.
moment you have them, or but they're there, and so that's why I always go back to the boring stuff. A good thought is not
Correct.
enough. You got to put some ass behind it, like we say down here in the country. Put some ass behind it. Ain't going nowhere if you don't push.
Very true. Very true. Now, this next question is a question all along by itself.
Okay. All right.
I am actually going to cancel a ticket to this place where I think every creator deserves an opportunity to go. Okay. So we're going to take a train ride to this place called Arrogantville, where you actually, where everyone is on the same level, but we're not really on the same level. So you actually get the opportunity to go here. So this is where you actually get the moment to be as arrogant as you want to be
Mm.
about your work. And that question that goes along with this. So we just arrived in Arrogantville, and
I'm in
think,
Aragonville now. You've
just think,
unleashed a monster.
see, I knew this was gonna happen. I knew this was gonna happen. So
Oof.
the question goes like this: how does it feel to create a character, a universe where you can make changes whatever you want, and there's nothing anyone can do about
Oh man. The megalomania of world creation.
like people will look at your character and say, "Well, I don't like the fact that she has an afro and two braids." And the first thing you can say is, "Doesn't
So
matter. Doesn't matter what you think. My character is how I want." How does that feel to create a world and create these characters? You can give their powers, take their powers away. You can make them stronger. You can end it whenever you want to. You can
mm,
bring somebody else in. You can change their look.
with great
And
power, with great power comes great responsibility. To do whatever the hell you want, man. Create your world. Like, right? So look, here's the deal. I say you can do whatever you want. Like I literally do what I want. I have these weird thoughts about strange creatures. And I just go with it because the most unique thing anyone can ever do, anybody can ever create, is going to be something personal to you. Because the most unique thing about me is me, like my experience. So I need to run with that. You have to believe that your story is good enough to get told and not try to tell a story that somebody else will want to read. So, like, my catchphrase, CNS Comics, storytelling that storytellers can love. If you like a
correct.
story, you're going to like my stuff. And I believe that. I just believe that because I believe I can tell you a story. I can put together a narrative and take you along a journey with me. And you'll come at least for a little bit, and you'll probably get stuck and you'll want to roll. Um, so I would say that you're always rolling with some, and there's just something inherently arrogant about writing some shit down and thinking somebody should read it, isn't it? Isn't it just a
Yes,
little bit
of
haughty
course
all
it
in and
is.
of itself, just as a concept that what you're writing is important enough to read?
That's why I say every creator deserves that opportunity to arrogant feel, but
Let
don't
that
stay.
out. No, stay in Arrogantville. Don't ever get no. I mean, and you're right.
Don't
Don't stay in
don't stay
Arrogantville,
because
but
you'll create an even bigger monster that people were like,
don't write
okay,
your story for other people. Don't
write it
don't
for
because
you.
that's what I think is the difference between us as indie creators and the mainstream
Correct.
is they are creating to make money solely. We
Mhm.
all would like to make money, but would create if we could fund ourselves any kind of way, which is why when we go to the Kickstarter and you guys come through and drop some loot on it, like it's special to us because we know that we're creating selfishly in like
Correct.
the most selfish way possible. And, I think that that difference and allowing that to continue to drive indie creation is going to keep indie. It's going to keep it strange and unique and different and out there and full of all the possibility it's full of. But no, you're right. You should never take because what you do when you're all arrogant and you're haughty is you block your blessing. You miss out
Correct.
on
Correct.
what you should get. But don't let anybody tell you that you shouldn't throw your pitch, though, I guess is my
Yeah.
point. And that it's okay that if you want to tell your story the way you want to tell your story, tell it. But if your writing is bad and somebody's giving you advice on the mechanics, don't be on your high castle where you
Yeah.
can't
No
hear
one can
good
tell me
advice.
anything.
Right.
Even though you did the edits, I think that it should
Like
have been left the
Shannon.
way it was. Yeah, she said just visit occasionally,
Just
which is
occasionally.
that's why I say we
You got
just
to
I'm
be
gonna
able to
give
get
you.
on that train, like you said, the poor people's Six Flags Day. You can
Yeah,
go, but you can't get on none of them damn rides, and we ain't
no,
eating nothing. And
don't
don't come
stay.
with this wristband. You ain't doing it.
You can
That's
walk
it.
in and visit. I'll let you have a little drink or two.
Out that water fountain. Get that water out of
Yeah,
that
out the
water fountain.
water fountain, out of the arrogant water fountain that boosts it up just a little bit more.
Oh,
Things like that. But don't stay. So I think
right.
every creator needs an opportunity to just go there to sometimes also remind themselves of who they are. So, because sometimes we'll get to the point where it's
Because
like, oh,
sometimes somebody will tell
uh,
you that they're not going to read a book written by a lesbian about lesbian black women
correct,
because they saw my cover and they never opened a page of the book. And somehow it's all this and that. And you will deal with that if you're willing to create. You're going to need enough of that arrogance, like you're saying, to not be broken
correct,
by hostility. But you need
correct.
to be, as Shannon is saying, only an occasional visitor to where you can
Yes,
receive criticism and you can receive new information, and that helps you develop and grow.
correct, correct. So that's a place where I think every artist needs to visit. So
Thank
Wilson,
you for
we're gonna
taking.
get not a problem. We're gonna get back on the train and come back to reality. Okay,
Oh
so check your
man,
ticket.
man.
Come on,
I had a
come
two
back.
night stay. I had a 2 night stay. I want to speak with the manager. Okay.
We had to
Couldn't
come
help
back. We had to
myself.
come back when I came up with this question, I said, "Oh, this is gonna open up some place
Oh, we
with
need an off ramp. We need an off ramp. Safe word.
this is gonna." I said, "This is gonna open up some places where people are gonna be like, oh crap, oh," and I
Mm,
knew it was gonna take people. They're gonna be like, "Oh, yes, I get the opportunity to just let this out." Because we're being nice every day to people. Oh, but your comments are awesome. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I try. It's okay to every once in a while take yourself to Erica Dill and be like, I know it is.
that's right.
You
I
were
did a
supposed
good
to tell
job
me that.
here. I'm proud of the work I did. There's
Yeah,
nothing wrong with
there's
celebrating.
nothing wrong with it.
Nothing wrong
See,
with
see,
celebrating.
see, see. We still in Erica Dill. Let's come on, come
Oh,
on, come on. We're out,
celebrations are a
we're out,
family time.
we're out, and we're back. Okay.
Welcome to the real world, where I am just overwhelmingly grateful for, and I mean, really, seriously,
Yeah,
like it's an overwhelmingly humbling experience to put yourself out there and be received. So
exactly.
Thank you so very much to everybody who's gotten a hold of the book and enjoyed it and continues
Yes,
to support the projects that we put out. It
I
means a
cannot.
lot. It really
It
does.
does. It does. To
It's
any.
actually helping us to do more with other creators. We're going to, like Tier is doing, bringing on Shannon. We're going to be able to bring in another creator with us here soon. We've been
Oh,
working on
awesome.
his work, Exposito Sousa. He has a lot of really good scripts. He's an artist
Mm.
that does his own writing, does his own line art. We're putting some colors and letters to his work, and kind of bringing it into the digital world for some digital publishing. That's something
Oh,
that I really wanted to do for the creators who kind of don't have that foundation already, um,
correct.
that want to continue to own their work and to get the big piece of the
Mm.
pie at the table instead of a sliver for their efforts. It's not so much about, of course, you want to make some money off of whatever you're doing if you're
Of
putting effort into
course.
it, but I don't need the big slice of pie. So if you got a good story and you really feel like
Yeah.
it should work and you want to come my way and see about digitally publishing with us, holla at your boy. I'm not against talking to you. I speak human. I am a regular guy.
Yes.
You
He
can reach
is.
out to me. Like, I'm not any more special than the rest of you very creative folks out there that just haven't taken those steps. And if you're
Correct.
looking to take those steps and interested, check me out. I'll help you in any way I can, and no strings attached. Until you want to attach strings, and we'll.
And we are appreciative of CNX Comics. But before we end on tonight, there's one more small segment that I do at the end of the show. Okay, and Shannon had did this one on the first show. If you get a chance, Wilson, go back and watch the first show. Shannon's on
I
that
gotta
one
go
with the
check that out.
cosplayer. You got to go check that out. And it's a
So it's
segment
only to be my
called.
treat.
She's probably gonna laugh about this one because they had to think about this one.
You be
It's a
setting
seg.
folks up.
Oh yeah, it's a segment called the Bank of Audacity, where you tell me a situation doesn't matter. This is the opportunity for you to get it off your chest. Tell me a situation where someone just went to the Bank of Audacity and loaned too much. They just
Yeah.
came. They had the audacity to approach that.
I go back to this dude because it resonated with me
Uh-huh.
that you just weren't even gonna open the book. You won't even open it. Like, I get it, it's comics. We really do judge books by their cover in comics, but I
Yes.
got some fly ass covers. Like, you one, I feel like the guy missed a good story.
Mm.
But like, it how can you call yourself a comic book person, right? And to be totally opposed to any story without at least touching it. Like,
Yeah.
to me, there's a lot of audacity in that to any kind of story out. Like, you're supposed to believe in the creative worlds, and you got barriers to even touching a story because there was uh Tolasha, the black woman with a fro on the cover. It turned you off. That alone
Mm.
put you off. And I don't know. There's not a lot of things that just so readily. I don't think anything of it beyond like way too much gore, like I can't do, especially like too much
Mhm.
zombie gore. I'm not going to stare at the pictures, but I would still read the story. Like, I could read a zombie gore story. So I guess like to me, the idea that you will reject someone's narrative because of how they appear. I guess that's what it really is, because then you never understand the other perspective because you're rejecting it on sight. And it's about the story. And you're supposed to be a story person because you claim you like comics. And I know
Mhm.
that's about pictures, but that's also about weird ass stories that don't make sense, that aren't the normal. So I don't know. That always comes up to me. I always think about that. And I wonder how many people just won't even open it because Tolasha got
Mm.
that fierce ass fro looking extra foxy. Like, I don't see what you're opposed to.
But my thing is, I have this saying that I do use where I say, that, that the people have been saying for years, never judge a book by its cover. But I add to that. I said, never judge a book by its cover. At least read the synopsis. At least give the book a chance.
Flip it over, get
Read it over and
something.
read it,
Read
and
the
you maybe
first page.
because I've actually done that. I've actually looked at the book and looked at the title and was like, oh, it's not a good book. And then I put it back. This is from a life lesson learned. I put it back. And then later on down the line, I end up reading about the book and I'm like, wait a minute, that was actually a good book. That's something that
Man,
I'm
I
interested
passed
in.
out. Man, I should go back and read that.
Exactly. I end up going back, getting the book and reading it. That's just like when you're listening to your to a CD and you skip over that one song because you just heard the intro. Come to find out, you finally one day sit back and listen to the song. You're like,
It's your jam. That's your
that
actual
was the
jam.
dopest song on me.
That's the best one on the album.
You like,
Well,
and I was like, because I've done that, and my mom told me she was like, have you listened to that song that you always skip over? I'm like, no, I actually listened to the song and listened to the words, and I was like, I actually love that song. And so that's why I say you never ever. I've stopped doing the whole. Even though I'm a sucker for covers, I stopped doing the whole cover thing. I at least read the
read
book.
something about the book because I was gonna say like I've bought books purely for the cover, read the first page, and
Hmm.
was like, damn, I guess I'll look at this because it wasn't something I actually wanted
Yeah,
to read. It wasn't necessarily that the story wasn't good, but the story wasn't for me. The story may not be for you. Um, but then it makes me think about how much we are missing in this life
all right,
because we uh, do we actually like what we like or do we because it looks like what we think it's supposed to look like and I
mhm,
think that happens in the comic book world where it doesn't look like what it's supposed to look like or it
yeah,
doesn't follow what it's supposed to follow and then it becomes fully rejected and you miss a lot of good stories that way. Don't do
correct.
that. Read that story. Get in there.
Read it, read it, and the same thing. And it's funny because this actually tags along with people too. Never look at someone and just automatically assume, oh, this person is this person is that. Like I have people that looks at me because I have locks and I got my little scruffy beard. I've had people actually approach me and ask me that I have any weed on me. I'm just like, huh?
uh,
Or they'll approach me like, you got a dime? I'm like, I'm literally handing them a dime. They're
what do
like,
you need
no,
change for like
I'm like, what's your
and
change?
you're a kind person. I'm like, no, I don't have a dime. Nobody's giving change anymore. Like you can't get change anymore. So
And my favorite thing is, they was like, you don't know what that is? I said, no, I don't. It was like, you don't smoke? I said, no, I don't. He said, but you have dreads. I said, what does that have to
what does it mean? What does that mean? And you know,
do?
we've been doing it. We've been doing it for a long time, and we're doing it to each other in all
Oh,
sorts of
Lord.
places, and we're missing each other for that reason. There's so
We
much.
are.
There's so much we're missing.
We
So
are.
silly.
And we're missing out on some good people. And I'm just like, it's crazy. So stop stop looking at
Talk
the
to
outside,
different
y'all.
people. People who are different have cool things that you're not aware of. You get new experiences when you reach out for new experiences. So I try not to be closed off. I also
Correct.
like to eat, and I find that embracing new things with food is good. So
Mm.
it usually works out pretty decent. You know,
Yeah.
I'm just
And
saying, stop. Don't be a hater for no reason. Have a reason to hate.
you'll be maybe but you'll be surprised what you and that person have in common.
All right, we're all people. We really
Yeah.
do have more in common than we don't.
Correct. That is correct. Well, Mr. Lee, I want to thank you, sir, once again. But before we go, is there any more plugs you want to give out, like your next Kickstarter, or give us your
Well, look
Instagram,
for
or
us to return to Kickstarter before the summer's out. We're probably going to come through with the Captain series, which is
awesome.
attached to the Tales of the Stars universe. Always got a lot of exciting scripts coming out. Be on the lookout for Free Soul Unbound. It's something that I'm scripting out now. I'm starting to write the issues for it. It's going to be an amazing story, a little more down to earth. In the CNS comics way, we're still going to be pretty far out there. So just a lot of good things. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, or just by Googling CNS Comics. Everywhere you want to look, you'll find us if you type CNS Comics. So come check us out. And again, August 7th, if you're feeling brave, put your mask on, be safe. Come check us out in Greenville, North Carolina at the Convention Center on August 7th from 10
Awesome.
a.m. to 5 p.m. Get your stuff signed. Also, I want to give a special shout out to my boy MJ. I made two of these hats, one for him, one for me. I'm going to send that to you, bruh. I'm waiting on the rest of your Kickstarter stuff to come. This one's for you. I sported that
Awesome.
so peeps could see it.
Oh, that is
Um,
awesome.
so
That
yeah,
is awesome.
and I really appreciate the spot as always. So glad to be here and look forward to catching the rest of the shows in this series. Be careful out there when he invites you. Uh, he is not throwing softballs. He is not throwing
Never.
softballs.
Don't be shy to come on Creative Talk with Scorpio Chronicles.
B Ray.
I'm just gonna open up that other door that you didn't know you had. Like, oh, I didn't know this was in here. Yeah, that's in there. That's the whole purpose of it. So once again, we thank you all for joining. Thank you all for joining me tonight. I appreciate it. If you missed the show or if you want to share it, of course, this is going to be on my YouTube and my Instagram. Instagram, I got to have a conversation with them because for some reason it didn't air on Instagram tonight, but it is on Facebook and YouTube. But yes, but we're going to have a little quick conversation. But once again, we thank you all for joining us. And like I always say, well, before I say that, don't forget to support CNS Comics. Okay, don't forget to support Wilson Lee. Can't wait to get my package from him. But
It's
before I end the night, like I always say, stay positive. That's negative.